As we begin the show tonight, we start off here in the Queen City as the Cincinnati Bengals and the New England Patriots faced off against one another in Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. The Patriots beat the Bengals 16-10 in upset fashion. For the Patriots, Jacoby Brissett, he went 15 of 24. He threw for 121 passing yards. Stevenson, the running back for the Patriots, he had 25 carries, 120 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Joe Burrow, he went 21 of 29. He threw for 164 passing yards. So, first and foremost, before I get to the Bengals, let me give a big shout out to New England Patriots' new head coach, Gerard Mayo. He earned his first win as a head coach in the NFL. We all know Bill Belichick has been the New England Patriots head coach for the last 23 years. Gerard Mayo took over, and in his first head coaching debut, his New England Patriots get him a big-time victory. He got a big Gatorade bath at the end of the game. So shout out to head coach Gerard Mayo, the new head coach for the New England Patriots, on his first head coaching win. And also shout out to Ramondre Stevenson. He was balling in this game for the New England Patriots. And honestly, he was the player of the game. For the game, 25 carries, 120 rushing yards, had 3 receptions for 6 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. It was his first game with over 100 yards rushing since 2022. And I like Ramondre Stevenson. I really do. I think he's one of the top running backs in the NFL. I wouldn't say he's top 5, but I would definitely say he's top 10, closer to the bottom 10, like 7, 8, or 9, or 10 in the NFL. But he's a definitely good running back. And I thought the Patriots leaned on him all afternoon long. And to me, that was the biggest issue defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to get to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Zach Taylor and the Bengals offense here in a bit. But first, we got to talk about this Bengals defense. Defensive coordinator Lou Admiral and the Bengals front 7, Logan Wilson at linebacker, Jermaine Pratt, Trey Hendrickson up front, Sam Hubbard, Sheldon Rankins, B.J. Hill. The Bengals defense got manhandled by the New England Patriots offensive line. I'm going to say it again. The Bengals defense got manhandled by the Patriots offensive line and the Patriots elite rushing attack with Stevenson, because Brissett only had 121 passing yards. So the Patriots game plan was simple. It was, we're going to play ball control, we're going to run the football with Stevenson, and not allow Brissett to put us in harm's way and make mistakes. We're going to play ball control, we're going to throw the ball less than 25 times and run the football with our dynamic running back. And the Bengals defensive front had no answers for the Patriots rushing attack. And the Patriots ran the football all game long. For the game, the Patriots had 170 rushing yards for the afternoon. So they pretty much dominated the Bengals defensive line. So shout out to that Patriots offensive line. They dominated the Bengals defensive line. And I had to call out those guys: Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, Sheldon Rankins, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt. Y'all got manhandled by that Patriots offensive line and their running backs and tight ends in the running game. It's that simple for that defense. They have to be better. So defensive coordinator Lou Admiral, you have to be better as a defensive coordinator, and you have to play more physical football. They got to play more physical football as a defense. That's where they got to improve on it. Now, let me get to Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and this Bengals offense. For the Bengals, this is a reoccurring theme where they struggle in season openers, and not only just in season openers. For whatever reason, at the beginning of the season, the Bengals struggle. Zach Taylor is now 1-5 in season openers. 1-5. Joe Burrow is now 1-8 in weeks 1 and week 2 games. So Zach Taylor is 1-5 in season openers, and Joe Burrow is 1-8 in weeks 1 and 2 so far in his career. And when you look at the numbers back it up statistically. Let's look at Joe Burrow's statistics weeks 1 and 2 compared to weeks 3 through 18. Weeks 1 and 2, Joe Burrow, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Weeks 3 through 18, 85 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. His passing yards per game in weeks 1 and 2 are 220 passing yards per game. In weeks 3 through 18, it's 279 passing yards per game. Joe Burrow's passer rating, weeks 1 through 2, is 79.8. Weeks 3 through 18, it's 102.5. Weeks 1 through 2, Burrow completes 63% of his passes. Weeks 3 through 18, he completes 69% of his passes. So this is starting to become a culture thing where the Bengals, for whatever reason, they struggle in the early part of the season. And to me, that is solely due to coaching. That is a head coaching issue to me because they have to evaluate how they do preseason. When you say that, like they have to evaluate how they do preseason because they're getting out to these slow starts. Maybe you need to allow Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and allow the offense to go out there and play a few possessions in the preseason. Get a few snaps in, maybe even play a quarter in the preseason. They have to reevaluate how they do things in training camp and in the preseason because they continue year after year after year getting out to these slow starts as a football team. And I know Bengal fans are getting sick and tired of it. Yesterday, I had a chance, an opportunity to go down to the Bengals tailgate. And it was a great, great environment. I know my man Daniel was there. It was a great environment down there. Bengals fans were happy. They were excited because it was a season opener at home. And this was one of those games where this is a game that you have to have. The New England Patriots are a rebuilding football team. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL. One of the worst teams in the NFL. And the Bengals could only score 10 points in your season opener at home. And you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender / playoff contender. And you only can score 10 points. Are you kidding me? Joe Burrow didn't have not one single touchdown pass. And there were key, impactful plays in this game. I thought on the one possession, Mike Gesicki, I thought he had a touchdown reception in the end zone, but he did not complete the catch. The refs called it back. Bengals thought they had a touchdown on that play. And then Tanner Hudson catches the pass from Burrow, running into the end zone, and fumbles at the goal line. I thought that was the biggest play of the game because if you score, you get points up on the board, and now you have momentum on your side, and we got to see what the Patriots do offensively and if they can respond. Because the whole goal, when you're going up against New England Patriots, the goal is to put them in passing situations. You want to see if Brissett can drop back to pass and win the game for the New England Patriots. Instead, the Bengals never got themselves in a position to put pressure on the Patriots. The Patriots didn't have any pressure all game long because the Bengals could not capitalize in the red zone, and they had bad turnovers. The Hudson fumble, they had the fumble on the punt return as well. It was just a rough performance for the Cincinnati Bengals offensively and defensively. And also, another thing I noticed, Jamar Chase in this matchup. Jamar Chase, 6 receptions, 62 receiving yards, right? But I told Bengal fans all off-season long, I said, you no longer have Joe Mixon or Tyler Boyd. And the last 3 years, the Cincinnati Bengals have had an elite offense with Joe Mixon in the backfield. At receiver, you had Jamar Chase, you had T. Higgins, you had Tyler Boyd as well. Joe Mixon now is a member of the Houston Texans, and he was balling yesterday for the Texans. Tyler Boyd's a member of the Tennessee Titans. So some of your firepower has been taken away from you. And so Bengal fans told me all offseason, oh, we were not going to struggle. They laughed at me. Bengal fans literally laughed at me when I said it's going to be an adjustment for the Bengals when they start the season because you don't have Joe Mixon anymore or Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins knows this is his last year as a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. This is last year. And Jamar Chase is unhappy about his contract situation. So at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals struggled out the gate offensively. And now you need Jamar Chase not only playing, but you need him to produce at an elite level. You don't have the same margin for error this year compared to what you had in previous years. In previous years, I thought the Bengals had a more larger margin for error as an offense. If Jamar Chase misses a game or is out, or if T. Higgins misses a game and is out. Now, the Bengals need Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to both play and both play at an elite level. I'm going to say it one more time. The Bengals need Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to both play and play at an elite level to function as an offense. And new offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher, he has to do a better job of having more deep routes for the receivers. It was a lot of underneath stuff for the Bengals in this matchup. And I'm like, hey, you have Jamar Chase, throw the ball down the field. For whatever reason, they were doing these short routes and shallow routes. I'm like, you have to throw the ball down the field. And so that was my biggest takeaway from the game overall. I just thought offensively the Bengals were off, and the Patriots took advantage of it. Give them credit. They took advantage of it. But this is a culture issue at the beginning of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals and their struggles. It's becoming a reoccurring theme. They have to get better. And moving forward, next week they are in Kansas City going up against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're the Bengals, that is a game that you have to have. Now, it's going to be tough to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, but it's going to be a big game. But the one good thing for the Bengals, I will say, after the Chiefs game in week 2, week 3, you got the Commanders. Week 4, you got the Panthers. So, and then week 6, you got the Giants. Week 3, Commanders. Week 4, Panthers. Week 6, Giants. So those are 3 winnable games for the Bengals, but they got to get this thing together. They got to get it together, and I want to see how they respond. I really want to see how they respond. And one more thing before I get out of here. They don't want to talk about it, but I believe that even though Jamar Chase played yesterday and he has 6 receptions for 62 receiving yards, make no mistake about it, Jamar Chase wants to get his money. He wants to get paid. And for whatever reason, Mike Brown has not given him his money. And I think Jamar Chase, I don't feel like he's as locked in as he was in previous years because he doesn't have a new contract extension. If Jamar Chase got his money before the season, Jamar Chase would have had over 100 yards receiving yesterday. You can bet the house on that. So I think he's unhappy about that, and it's interesting to see how he responds as the season goes along if he doesn't get a new contract extension from the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to find out what the Bengals are about and see if they can be a playoff team in the AFC. Looking at their schedule, I think they have to play this year the Chargers. The Chargers actually look good yesterday as well. They have to play the Eagles, okay, Cowboys. So, and we all know the AFC North is a tough division, probably the hardest division and the toughest division in the NFL, for sure. So we'll see how they respond.